One of the most intimidating parts, at least in my opinion, of starting a business is creating a solid legal foundation to make sure that you and your big idea are protected. Well, today I'm bringing back my friend, my personal business attorney, Lauren Ruiz, to help clarify what you actually need in order to create a solid legal foundation without breaking the bank, and what you don't. We're going to talk about the early stages of business and some of the top questions that she and I get in terms of how to protect your business while also giving you peace of mind. Friends, welcome back to the podcast. I have one of my favorite people. I say that a lot, but I actually do have a lot of really favorite women. And Lauren is someone that I have gotten to know not only as a friend, but I am a client of hers, as well as she is a client of mine. She's in our mastermind. She is my personal business attorney. And as you reminded me with your very sweet gift a few days ago, it's kind of our 1-year friendship anniversary. Powerhouse Women 2019 was officially when we first met.
Yes. It was long overdue. I feel like we knew of each other.
Yes.
And we were just like watching from the sidelines. And then we got to actually just dive into this friendship, and we haven't looked back.
Nope. It was meant to be on so many levels. And it's been, I feel like because you have been a part of our Powerhouse Women Mastermind, I've really had this front row seat to watching your business grow and thrive over the last year. And I can't even reinforce enough how vital everything that you're doing right now is for those of us who are business owners. And so we're going to get into all of this today. But, for those who don't know you, why don't we start by having you reshare just a little bit of your journey and what took you from, the legal profession, which can be very corporate, can be a certain way. I'm like, I don't even know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know how that is. But, to watch you create this beautiful business, your own practice, really serving entrepreneurs and the demographic that you're most passionate about, what has that journey looked like?
So it has not been like climbing the ladder. I had a favorite professor that said, your journey is going to be a winding path, and mine definitely has been. And I really just continued to reevaluate what's in alignment. And I use this with legally aligned, what's aligned with my purpose. And I know it's really important to have some of those foundational steps, which is why I went through corporate law on my way to kind of where I am today. But I actually had no intentions, and people are always surprised by this. I had no intentions of being a lawyer. I was not the little girl that was picturing being in a courtroom. Much sexier, I thought I was going to get a finance degree.
Yes.
I thought I was going to get a finance degree. So I actually went to business school. I double majored in both finance and entrepreneurship. And I was just in love when we had third year legal counsel, mock legal counsel, come in and counsel our senior year entrepreneurship program, project. I thought it was so interesting, all of the kind of proactive steps that you could take as a business owner. And I was really just loving that versus the numbers that I thought I was going to end up using in business. So I actually applied to law school, really focused on negotiation and contract drafting and business law, and loved every piece of it. Went into corporate law for over 3 years. And I negotiated over $3 billion in commercial contracts during that time.
Oh my gosh. I don't think I ever knew that.
Yeah. So I actually love negotiating. And I got to do it all over the world. I was really thrown into the fire, and I got to do some amazing things. But at the end of the day, I came from a family of entrepreneurs. I knew what it felt like to have a problem in your business and how you wouldn't sleep at night. That's how I was raised. And it just didn't feel like my calling to stay at a big corporation where we could lose $1 million tomorrow and everything would be okay. I
Yeah.
felt like I could make a bigger impact where $100 was a big deal. Like
Yeah.
I wanted to get back, really grow roots in my community. And I wasn't feeling that way when I was commuting to corporate law to hop on Skype calls. I wasn't feeling that connection to my community. And so I made the spur of the moment, actually like 2 years ago. Only it feels like 10 years, but 2 years ago, I started my firm and drove straight in to supporting entrepreneurs here locally as they're setting up their businesses. And I've really enjoyed every part of it. I've done quite a mix of, from negotiation to, helping someone launch a brand new product line. It's been really exciting to see all the incredible things that entrepreneurs are doing here locally and really get to make great friends. And, I love this kind of ecosystem that we have, that we can each kind of invest in each other's businesses and utilize everybody's special skills.
Yes. And it's really something special, I can say, as a client of yours, to work with someone. So I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm working with someone who's also an entrepreneur. You really understand some of the challenges that I face, or, how it feels when you have an unhappy customer, because you're a business owner in your own right. So you have just been such an asset to my business. I can't say it enough, but I'm saying it publicly now for the whole world to hear, because I truly, especially over the insane growth we've had this last year, I needed your support so, so much. And I think this is the kind of the context we wanted to create for this conversation today. Is the legal side of things used to feel so overwhelming and intimidating. So what do you want to say? I guess this will be a great way to kind of dig into it. What do you want to say to that new business owner or person sitting with a big idea that they feel is supposed to be a business? What do you want to tell them about whether or not they should feel overwhelmed, intimidated, afraid of the legal side of business?
I think you really say it best when you talk about some of the kind of the foundational elements of Powerhouse. Is I want people to feel like they're stepping into their power when they're taking action around their big idea, and really making sure they're willing to advocate for themselves. I don't think it should feel intimidating. I think having a resource, and this is why I was so dedicated to creating the resources the way that I did, is because it needs to feel like someone is there to support you. This is not, your legal foundation shouldn't be like grabbing something online with no context. And that's when it feels intimidating. But when you have someone that you feel like is a resource and is continuing to pour into your business, it shouldn't feel intimidating. It should feel like a part of your process, seamless, and it should only make you feel more empowered around your big idea.
And I think that was the piece, that last word you said, empowered. I didn't realize until I started to get some of those foundational elements in place, like filing my LLC, getting my business bank account set up, getting contracts in place. Like, contracts seem scary until you have one and you're like, I am legit. Like, I am, excuse me, if you would like to do business with me, please sign this contract. It's this funny thing where I think what can feel so overwhelming, we don't realize will actually empower us, give us peace of mind around doing the thing that we're uniquely gifted at, right? Offering the product or service that we've been called to offer to the world, and knowing that at the end of the day, no matter what happens, we've thought through all the things that could possibly go wrong and we've got a plan. And I
Mhm.
didn't realize how much freedom and power that would give me around my big ideas until I was in that phase, a few years into business, and understood truly how empowering it is to have a legal foundation that is protecting me.
And I want to mention this too, that your clients or whoever you're working with, your business partners, they're going to have a different level of respect for someone who's laid those foundational elements. I've literally had clients thank me for some of the foundational elements of my business because they feel like it gave them permission to stand in their own power.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what a contract does. It allows you to set clear expectations. It's a very loving way to make sure everyone's on one page. After this is something we talked about. We actually recorded, can I say it? We recorded a
You
bonus.
can say it.
We recorded a bonus episode for Six Figure School. And we were talking about how often agreements come together with like a mix of like a phone call, a DM, a voice message, an email. It's bringing everything into one place and really feeling secure and having that peace of mind to move forward.
Yes. And it's so, so true. Now it's at the point where I know in the beginning it can feel a little weird, especially if you're doing business with friends or if it's more of a trade, just to say, hey, I'd love to put this in writing just so we're both really clear about what we're agreeing to, where that could seem like, gosh, is that going to be awkward to offer? To me, it's like such a sign of respect if someone comes to the table and says, hey, I'd love to put this in writing. Let's just make sure we have both of our agreements down on paper and we're both totally clear. So I want to help clear that up right away, that it's not a weird or awkward conversation. In fact, it's the most loving thing that you can do anytime you're working with another human being, especially.
Yeah, it's such a sense of respect that comes in. And again, you step into this power when you're willing to advocate for yourself and take your idea seriously because you have invested a lot of time and energy and probably money as well. You need to be, you deserve to protect that idea.
Yes. Okay. So when I think back again, early stage entrepreneur Lindsay, first thing that felt overwhelming to me about the legal side of business is not knowing fully what I really needed. So, obviously, this is going to vary greatly just depending on what business you're in or what your big idea is. But can you give us just like some like, if we were just to generalize, what are some general things that most business owners should really start with in terms of creating that solid foundation?
So the first thing, you have probably heard this before, is file your LLC. Filing a limited liability company is actually a great step to it. What's going to do is separate your personal assets, your personal identity, and create this new business identity where your kind of liabilities and activities in your business can live. This is going to lay a great foundation, not only because in your future agreements, instead of listing your personal name, they're going to list your business name. They're making an agreement with your business, and you're stepping now into that true business owner position, not someone who feels like they have a side hustle. And something we talked a lot about is the mindset that comes around when you've filed a business, you are using a business LLC, you have agreements, you're stepping into this other power. There's kind of a statistic that says someone who has filed for a trademark earns 3 times as much revenue. Now, I don't think it's because of the symbol at all. I think it's truly because of the mindset that comes when you're willing to take those foundational steps and really invest in yourself.
Yes, 100% I can attest to that. And I've shared that story with you several times before, just about how empowering it was to take that step, create my business bank account, like start to really treat this seriously. And then, once we have that solid foundation created in terms of, having a business entity, it's almost like you create like a person, right? You create an entity, you create a business that exists in the world. Then the next thing I think that I felt a little bit of a deer in headlights is thinking through, well, okay, we talked about contracts. What kind of agreements, contracts do I need to have in place in order to make sure that I'm really protected? I don't think we need to overcomplicate it and have 10,000 different documents to sign. So like, how do we keep that really simple? If I'm just starting, where would you start in terms of contracts and agreements?
Yeah. And I always think it's really about having a few items in your toolbox that is going to moderate those business relationships that you have coming down the pipeline. So, first off, in this world, we all have a website. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to have a privacy policy for your website, because I'm going to leave it all the marketing gurus, but most of the time we try to grow our email list. We have a lead generator. We're collecting at the very least first names and emails, if not also people's credit card information for actual purchases. We're collecting personal information on our website, and because of state, US, and international laws, we actually are required to have a privacy policy to tell our users of our website what we're going to do with their information, how we're going to treat that. And, most of the time we're all thinking, I'm just going to use it for exactly the purpose that they thought. Unfortunately, you have to state that. And so having a privacy policy is a great place to start for your website. Now, if you are a more of a product-based business, you should have terms and conditions for your website that complement a product. And that's going to cover things like return policy and what that looks like, shipping time, who pays for what. And that's really the next step for a product-based business. If you are a service-based business, I'm going to assume that you start where most of us start, kind of with one signature service. And if that signature service is an online course, you should have in your terms and conditions, which is, when I'm referring to that, I'm referring to the footer of your website. You guys can't see it if you're listening to this audio, but I'm part Italian and I'm using my hands. I'm showing you that it's at the bottom of the website. Just imagine we have all seen it before. You scroll all the way down to the bottom of the website, you see terms and conditions and privacy policy, or sometimes those are paired together under a link called legal. Either is completely acceptable. But for our product-based businesses, terms and conditions, and then for our service-based, instead of having your terms and conditions be kind of a more generic terms and conditions, you can actually include maybe your coaching agreement or your event agreement or your online course agreement, whatever is going to best protect your signature service.
Okay, brilliant. And even just hearing you drill it down to those couple of things, I think, okay, I can totally handle this. Now, here's something we don't love to think about. We don't love to consider this could ever possibly happen, but if you've been in business a few years, you know it's bound to happen at some point where you have an unhappy customer. Now, it's never fun, but what I can tell you is that it's a lot more peaceful for you as the business owner if you know that you had put some really important communication in writing before it ever got to that point. So this is something that you and I have worked through, right? As you as my legal counsel, just some issues that have come up in navigating upholding contracts. And luckily, I had you on my side and on my team before issues came up. So we did actually have a very solid and very loving agreement in place that we could just lovingly point people back to. So talk to me about what it does for us as business owners to think through the stuff we don't want to think through before it happens, and what we can do to prepare ourselves and protect our businesses.
So much like you would sit here and create kind of a financial plan for your business, you actually want to create, I'm sure your model for your financial plan, right? We've got these big dreams, we're throwing them onto an Excel document. You don't account for the unhappy customers and returns or, refunds. That's just not a big piece of how we think. And it's hard to assume what that number is going to be. And oftentimes it's actually not realistic to give someone a refund. And what I like to tell people is really think about the energy and time exchange that goes into the product or the service. For example, on our product side, like restocking, is it like, can you even accept a return 120 days later? Like, would you be able to sell that? Or would that be a complete loss for your business? Same thing with your time. Don't discount your time by offering refunds on a service that's already been provided. Or maybe, for example, if someone's not respecting your time, I hear this a lot with coaches, that they get stood up and then they don't have anyone to fill for that time slot. And so they just became that much less profitable that day. And there's no way to really make that up without extending their hours on another day. Think about those things. It's the time and energy exchange that goes in to it, so that you're thinking through those before you have an unhappy customer come up. I actually love to walk my clients through kind of a 5-step system when you have an unhappy customer. And really at the heart of it, it's about listening. And the second part is about anticipating. It's what would you do if someone came to you and was unhappy with the product or service that you provided? So for example, we'll use like a coaching example. Do you have a guarantee? Do you have a cancellation policy? What do those things look like, so that when someone comes up to you with one of those, requests, you know exactly what you're going to do? Because often when we plan ahead, we actually are making a more strategic decision than when we're doing it in the heat of the moment. And what an agreement does for you is it puts that baseline into words. So before they begin working with you, they know exactly what your cancellation policy is, what exactly your refund policy is. Because sometimes, especially when we're working in this like business space or coaching space, there's a lot of intangibles and subjectivity to what is, did you deliver? Like, you can't change someone's business. None of us have a magic wand to make someone completely happy. But what you need is them to stay accountable and really truly invest in themselves and know that they need to take action and set those really right mindsets around it. So your agreement's going to have not only the financial piece, but disclaimers telling them how to use your information, what it's for, that you can't promise success. All of those things are going to start moderating kind of the expectations when they're entering into it. They know, I better take this investment seriously because I'm not getting a refund. And she doesn't promise that I'm going to make $1 billion tomorrow. Okay, I'll take responsibility for that one. So those mindset things are just really huge, and you can start them off on the right foot with an agreement.
And I think the other thing I took away that you were saying between the lines is making those agreements from a non-emotional place when we're not in again, a heightened emotional state. Maybe when someone is upset, and it could even have nothing to do with you, but for whatever reason, they're upset, they're, asking for certain things, and what you've agreed to ahead of time, and can lovingly just like bring the conversation back and listen and do all those things like you shared. Yeah. And it's not fun to think about, but I want you to just take a moment and consider it's easier to think about it now before it happens. It just is. So that's something I really gained as your client, is having those pieces in place to be able to go forward and deliver the, whatever it was that I was delivering, whether it was an event or a coaching program, a mastermind, and just know that we put everything in writing up front so that I was coming to the table knowing I was clear about what I'm providing and promising, and that the people on the receiving end know what they're getting. So I love that.
And a piece that you even pointed out was you knew what you were providing. It's just as beneficial for us to know what we're being held responsible for. It's showing people, this is that loving side of an agreement. It's willing to stand behind what you said in your marketing that you're going to deliver.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay. So if I am one of the listeners right now, I'm probably thinking, all right, I'm starting to make my little checklist of the things that pertain to my business, what I should have in place. Where the heck do I start? Do I just go to LegalZoom or Rocket Lawyer? And gosh, can I trust that those documents are actually protecting me? That was where I started. And I remember I felt the opposite of how it should feel when you have a contract in place. Because in the back of my mind, I was thinking, is this even the right contract? Do I have the right protection written in here? But then met you, of course, hired you as my personal business attorney. But I wouldn't have been at that point 5 or 6 years ago when I was really at that starting point. So what I love, and one of the biggest reasons I wanted to invite you back today, is to talk about this amazing resource you've created. It truly is such a gift to especially the newer stage entrepreneur, although it's really for everyone. And it's a place where we can find contracts and templates and things that can be modified to our own businesses. But I want to allow you to really set up why you created this incredible resource and what people can expect to find there.
So, for anyone who's sitting here saying, I really need to do the foundational steps for my quarantine business, hi, I'm standing right next to you. That was what Legally Aligned was. It was something that had been on my heart for a long time, but I really hadn't taken the time to develop it. And truly, for me, when I looked at doing something like a contract template shop and a blog and a podcast, I wanted it to be just that. I wanted it to be kind of this resource platform that was not just, a purchase portal, that was not just, Facebook group. It really was a whole community where you felt like you could be cared for, that it wasn't going to be a zip file that dropped to your computer for you to download and like wish you the best of luck. I wanted it to be something that you truly felt cared for throughout the entire time. So maybe as you're considering what the next purchase is, you're listening to the podcast or you're reading a blog. And when you're ready to make a purchase, you know that with that purchase, not only are you going to get a contract template, but you're going to get a video tutorial where I can give you an overview and walk you through how you're going to populate the template, because these templates can be customized for you and your business. And I've given you suggested text. I've showed you where you need to plug in your unique information. I've really gone through the process. And like you said, I've thought about it not only with my experience as an attorney, working one-on-one with my clients, not only with my corporate law experience, but also as an entrepreneur myself, as someone who has participated in a mastermind, gone to an event, enjoyed investing in myself in coaching programs. I thought about it from those shoes as well. So you're not going to feel like you're downloading, because this is one thing I hear all the time. You're not downloading something that someone's going to read and be like, well, this is terrible. I had a great conversation with them, and then they send me this like nasty agreement and it's like written in all these words I don't understand. It's truly meant to be something that is going to complement the relationship that you're already building, instead of feel like it's something that's interrupting the relationship. So I built this whole system. You even get an implementation guide, which is one of my favorite things. I give you like all of my tips and tricks on how to build it into your process, because if you have listened to my podcast, I am like a systems nerd, and I don't want you to spend time sending out every agreement. I want you to do it in the best way for your particular offering. One thing that we talked about earlier was, Lindsay, how would it have felt if you had sent out an agreement to every single person that attended Powerhouse Women 2020's virtual experience? If you were like, oh, got another purchase, have to send this agreement over.
Right. It's just, you can't physically do it. It doesn't allow you to scale.
Yeah. So really, with scaling in mind, we have created this whole platform of resources for you. And then the best part, and this is one of my favorite parts, like I was literally not going to launch the contract shop if we couldn't do this, but you actually get access to a portal that is not only going to save a clean version of your template, because trust me, I have plenty of clients that happen to misplace something, but it's also going to, your video tutorial and your implementation guide will live there too, but it's also going to be a place that later on, as this world changes and evolves, you're actually going to have access to any of the updates to the contract that you've purchased.
Which is huge, because again, you might create your contract and modify it and have it all ready, and then your business may not even change, but the world does, and you need to update it according to new privacy laws, et cetera. So it really is just so well thought out. I know there's other similar services available, and I think something is better than nothing. But if you guys want to know who I personally stand behind and who has made my business so much more secure, it's Lauren. So here she is. I'm sharing my secret weapon. She's not so secret with all of you, because she's helped me so much. Truly, just the impact you have had on the growth of Powerhouse Women has been tremendous over this last year, and I'm just truly so grateful.
Well, it's been, I really enjoy I feel the same way about you. None of kind of these leaps and bounds that I've taken in my business would not have come without the support of Powerhouse Women. And not only you, but the community that you've developed. You have incredible women in this community. And when you vouch for someone, you know it's someone that you can trust. And so the fact that you're saying that really it means so much, truly.
Well, I mean every single word of it. And I want to kind of wrap with this because as you said earlier, we just finished right before we hit record on the podcast, we did record a whole bonus module for the brand new business mentorship. So a 12-week business mentorship you've heard me talk about before called Six Figure School. It's really the program designed to take an entrepreneur even pre-idea, right? So you know you're meant for more, you know you want to start a business, and you're formulating that first idea all the way through generating your first six figures in income. And there's just certain foundational things that you really need along those stages. So we are launching this program. We have an amazing bonus module to give you all the legal foundation and answer all those questions. But my question for you, Lauren, is, you've been investing in your business this year. You were in our mastermind, you're joining other masterminds and just really investing in your own growth. What words of advice do you have for that newer stage entrepreneur who is feeling the tug to go all in on their big idea? What has mentorship or coaching, what has that really done for your journey and your growth as an entrepreneur?
Well, it's truly about accountability. For one, I think having someone to walk beside you as you're really developing this idea or refining it, whichever stage you might be, it's always an opportunity for growth. And I truly love giving myself the opportunity to refine the way that I'm reaching out and trying to impact the world. And I would not have done it. I don't think I would have done it half as well, or if at all, without some of the investments that I made in my business. Because not only do you have incredible mentors and coaches like yourself, but you actually have people that are going through the same process. Often you end up in a Facebook group or on calls together, and you meet incredible entrepreneurs that you would not have met otherwise. And those relationships are truly priceless. I will say, if you're thinking about investing, and I'm sure you would agree, you have to be willing to do the work. You have to show up ready. And especially when you work with Lindsay, because if you show up and you tell her your big idea, she's going to make you do it. So if you're ready, if you want that, I mean, there's no easy answer. Like, there's not this magic wand to make your business perfect and ready to go. But if you have people walking beside you, you are going to get there so much faster. And so I look back on how much my business has grown, even over the past year, and it's grown leaps and bounds. And I truly account all of it to the relationships that I've made through investing in my business.
Yeah. And I say it all the time, and you guys are probably so sick of hearing me talk about mentorship and investing, but I want you to hear from different people who have different kinds of businesses. We're not saying it for our own health. We really do want the best for you and for your big idea. And while I don't believe that everyone is at that point where they are ready, I know some of you are. So this is your loving nudge and encouragement. Lauren is right. I am definitely not the type of person who you can tell me your big idea and I will just let that slide. So only if you know you're ready. I know the doors are closing really, really soon for Six Figure School. So I wanted to put that little plug that we have Lauren doing a whole bonus episode and module for that program. And I'm just so grateful. Lauren, I could truly just talk to you for hours, and that's saying a lot. Like, legal stuff used to totally overwhelm me. So you just have this beautiful way of making it so simple, so digestible. And I think it does come from the fact that you're in our shoes. You're an entrepreneur as well. I'm just so grateful for you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me. I love being back. I'm usually just the avid listener, and it's really nice to be on the other end. And I hope that this supports, a listener. If it makes one listener take some action around their big idea, then I am so glad we spent the time to record.
So before we end, let's tell everyone where they can find you and where they can find the Legally Aligned Contract Shop. And then, of course, our special discount for all of the listeners. We have a special 10% off discount for all of you. So tell us, Lauren, where we can find all of that.
So I'm pretty sure you're going to link the discount and some of that information in the show notes.
Yes.
But if you are not driving, because I listen to a lot of my podcasts driving.
I know, same.
If you are not driving, I am on Instagram. That's mainly where you'll find me at the Lauren Ruiz, Ruiz. On Instagram, we also have a brand new Legally Aligned account. So that's just at Legally Aligned. That's where you're going to see promotions for, honestly, special promotions for our shop, but mostly links to our resources in our platform, our podcast announcements or blogs, and the website, which actually houses everything, is legallyaligned.com. And that is probably the best place to track us down. And we are coming up with more and more, resources and information all of the time. And we have a Facebook community, which I want to take a moment to plug too, because for anyone who's feeling like they have a question and they don't know maybe which agreement is the right fit, or they have that little nagging, oh, I really wish I had someone to talk to this about. While our team wants to be a resource for you. So we have an incredible team that's in there. We're doing lives each week now, and we're there to answer your questions so that you really feel comfortable moving forward.
Oh, so valuable. Lauren, thank you again for being here. We will link all of the information for how you can cash in on that 10% discount on any of the contracts in Lauren's shop, and truly just encourage you to stay in touch with her. She's such a wealth of information and a great person to have in your corner, in your business corner. So Lauren, thanks again for being here.
Thank you so much.